Welcome to Vintage SF. I'm Richard Rempel, and this is probably the last video from my epic journey from Winnipeg to Pulp Fest and then to Toronto to visit with Andreea of Infinite Text, Jim of Mystery and Mayhem, and Matt of Science Fiction Reads. Today we had an outing. Andreea was our host, and we saw 3 libraries and 3 bookstores. I guess what I want to do is we'll go through the day as it happened, but when I start at the first bookstore, I want to talk about 2 of the oldest bookstores in the world, 2 out of the 3 oldest. And in North America, today I'll talk about the oldest continuous science fiction bookstore here in Canada, and I have a previous video about Uncle Hugo's science fiction bookstore. That one is the oldest continuous SF bookstore in the United States. So now you know one of them. The other one, let me just tell you right now, because you might be wondering with the title to this video, that one is in Denmark, and it's called Fantastic. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it started in 1971. The one here in Toronto started in 1972, and Uncle Hugo's in 1974. In fact, you can find out the origin story of Uncle Hugo's in the video I've linked below. So let's get to my day in Toronto. First off, we headed to Massey College, where Andreea is a librarian in the Robertson Davies library. This is quite a historic library, and inside of here, not only you see these library tables and there's some amazing historical things in here, but also we have some historical printing material here. Maybe I should say printing technology here. And Andreea herself is the librarian of the rare books that are found within. And she showed us some amazing examples. I'm going to just run through these slideshows here to let you see some of these things as I'm talking.
If you spin these individually of each other and you look up the coordinates and you use this string to measure it, it's supposed to indicate the location of the stars. But the problem is that this was based on the geocentric model. So 3 years later, Copernicus published his book, and then this guy's book was obsolete.
Like the Earth was the center of the...
Yeah.
Right?
So
all the measurements were off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it has like 80 pages worth of these. And sometimes you're supposed to look up the chart over here.
Look at that.
And then use this to... And I don't know what kind of planning this took, but it took a decade.
Oh.
And the coordinates are cool too, because you have like Sagittarius, Capricorn, all of the zodiacs, because back then the astronomy and astrology were a bit tighter than they are now.
That's amazing.
That's
the amount of work that must have gone into that.
I just really like the strings too, because like they're used for like measurement.
Yeah.
There is also one with a dragon in here. This is the one with the dragon where you go like, it's like Twister, like tail 20 degrees, head 25.
From Andreea's library, we headed over just a block over to the Thomas Fisher Rare Book Library. This is a library that you may recognize because it was in Star Trek Discovery, Season 5, Episode 8, Labyrinths. It's a multi-tiered library, and it's just beautiful. It looks futuristic, and yet it's in a brutalist design. It's housed within the Robarts Library, and the whole building itself is designed to look like a bird, a peacock perhaps, or a swan or turkey. And the Thomas Fisher Rare Book Library is a separate brutalist-styled modernist cube here in Robarts Library. From there, we headed over to Bakka-Phoenix Bookstore. This is the second longest continuous science fiction bookstore in the world. I found out that author Robert J. Sawyer was an employee here in 1982. There's been many employees who are authors, and some perhaps right now breaking into the field. Toronto is a hotbed of Canadian science fiction authors. From Bakka-Phoenix, we took a bit of a walk to Toronto Public Library's Lillian H. Smith branch. Within there is the Merril collection of science fiction, speculation, and fantasy. It's a world-renowned research archive. It was founded in 1970 when author and editor Judith Merril donated her personal library, and it's grown now to over 80,000 items. At first it was named the Spaced Out Library, but it was renamed in Judith Merril's honor in 1991. Here, the librarians showed us some rare items. Among the books and ephemera that was shown, I was amazed, I guess that might be a pun, when the librarian brought out the first science fiction magazine, completely dedicated to magazine, the April 1926 issue of Amazing Stories, edited by Hugo Gernsback. And there was a letter accompanied with it that was written by Hugo Gernsback, which was inviting people to read this magazine and to subscribe. I've seen some pictures online, and none of them did it justice. It was in just beautiful, beautiful condition for something that's 100 years old. But I don't know, maybe you will be more impressed by a first edition of Dracula by Bram Stoker. Or how about some old RPG, Dungeons and Dragons? There was so much to see here. And Toronto has hosted the World Con 3 times. And in 1973, each session was announced by a bell. Here it is. We spent a lot of time here, and I really want to thank the librarians of the Merril collection. They had so many stories and details to share with us. From there, we caught a train and subway out to the Danforth region of Toronto and went to see Rereading. This is a bookstore which used to have 2 locations but now is in one. During COVID, they had to shut down one, and so they were able to cram in a lot more books. And what used to be a storeroom became the Science Fiction and Fantasy Chamber. In here, the store owner brought in some of his own personal collection of toys and models and ephemera, let's call it.
Corner right here.
You like the sound effect?
Yeah, I love it.
That's great.
What happened, though, is he was able to gain more and more as the years went on, and people actually came in and donated things, such as the Millennium Falcon. When you enter the room, you hear the swish from the original Star Trek as you entered through a door. After lunch, we went to the Scribe bookstore, rare vintage collectibles, first editions, antique books, signed books, illuminated manuscripts, decorative bindings, vintage prints, limited editions, and vintage maps. I have a video here, and you can see some of the amazing books that they have here, even some parchment or manuscript pages. I was fascinated by so many of these books. Perhaps you want to point out in the comments below some of the books that you noticed and what you think. The Scribe knew what they had here, and it was priced accordingly. It was very interesting to see so many rare and interesting books. But probably the best part of the day was getting to hang out with Jim and Andreea, Matt and his family, Brianna, and his son, Oliver. Thank you, Andreea, for making this happen. Thank you all for watching. This should probably be the last video of this adventure I've been on, and I'll be traveling back to Winnipeg now. Until next time, take care of your books and keep reading.